Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is safe, healthy, happy, sane. सबके घर वाले सुरक्षित हैं, सबके आसपास सब लोग सुरक्षित हैं. And I hope everyone is happy also. आज जो 11 on 10 सीरीज के चौथे एपिसोड की जो हमारी गेस्ट है वो है सुपरस्टार सानिया मिर्जा. अब उनके अचीवमेंट्स के बारे में आपको समझ नहीं आ रहा कहाँ से शुरू करूं. ट्रॉफीज, ग्रैंड स्लैम्स, मेडल्स फॉर द कंट्री, सिंगल्स, डबल्स, मिक्स डबल्स, अवार्ड्स, जितने भी हमारे देश में एक स्पोर्ट्स पर्सन को अवार्ड मिल सकते हैं इन्होंने सब जीत लिया एंड वेरी डिजर्विंगली. और ये सारे जितने भी अचीवमेंट्स है, आई कैन गो ऑन एंड ऑन एंड ऑन, बट आई एम प्रीटी श्योर जितने भी not only उनके चाहने वाले but everyone in the country will know this. She has been, for me, she has been one of the best sports person in my era. इतने सारे लोग, इतने सारे प्लेयर्स ने इतना कुछ अचीव किया हमारे देश में, बट मेरे एरा में जब से मैंने खेलना शुरू किया, because I think she came to the scene in 2005, I started in 2003, she has been outstanding. अपने रिकॉर्ड खुद तोड़ती है, ये उसके बाद फिर वो, उसके बाद फिर वो. शी हैज बीन, या पूरा दिन चले जाएगा उनकी तारीफ करते करते. और मैंने आप सबसे वादा किया था कि मैं अपने फोन बुक में जाऊंगा और जो मेरे फ्रेंड्स हैं उनको मैसेज करूंगा और उनको इस 11 on 10 सीरीज में लेके आऊंगा, बट उनका नंबर नहीं था मेरे पास. मैंने उनका नंबर निकलवाया, उनको मैसेज किया एंड शी वाज सो काइंड टू एक्सेप्ट माई इन्विटेशन एंड आई कांट वेट. 10 सवाल लेके आए हूँ अपने. आई होप पेचीदा ना हो, आई होप उनको अनकंफर्टेबल फील ना कराए और उनको मजा आए. सो विदाउट वेस्टिंग एनी मोर टाइम, लेट मी ट्राई एंड ऐड सुपरस्टार सानिया मिर्जा.
Hi.
How are you, Sania?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good, thank you so much.
How
First
are
of
you
all, thank you
doing?
so. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Trying to stay
How
active, healthy.
how is Izan?
Izan is good also. He's a handful now. He's 18 months, so he's all over the place. It's not a problem for me to stay fit. I'm only running behind him. तो अभी आधा घंटा I have just taken out के अभी उसको सुलाओ, किसी मैं मम्मी के पास छोड़ के आई हूँ उसको.
तो घर पर अभी इजान है, आपकी मॉम है, और इफ आई मे आस्क.
My dad is there,
Okay.
and that's it. मतलब we have a nanny. Thankfully, she was with us the whole time. So even when the lockdown started, so then we could keep her. नहीं तो we would have been, and that's it. घर पे और कोई नहीं है.
आप हैदराबाद में हो अभी?
मैं हैदराबाद में हूँ. मैं अमेरिका गई थी about more than
जी.
2 months ago. तो लॉकडाउन बिल्कुल खत्म होने लगा था. I mean, they had just started the lockdown, and I had gone to America. So just before they started, 2 days before I came back, I got very lucky because I had left Izhan in India. The whole situation, I didn't want to take him to America and put him on a flight. So I was there for like
Yeah.
5 days. Literally, I went on Sunday and I was back on Friday. I literally flew to LA for nothing because our tournament got cancelled. So yeah, and then I came back just in time. Otherwise, I would have been stuck there. I don't know what I would have done with myself if Izhan was here and I was over there.
Yeah, so I also heard when you came back, you self-quarantined yourself and was away from your kid for 14 days. How difficult was that?
Yeah, it was really hard. I mean, because he's little and obviously उसको कोई समझ नहीं है. He doesn't really understand what's going on. And thankfully, like I said, his nurse was there, my mom was there, and she was in India, so he was able to. And my sister came. She's married, obviously, so she lives in a different house, but she had come for those 2 weeks to just help out with him. Because it's very difficult to say कि I'm not, also for me, like not to take him or not to play with him or not to touch him is so hard.
Yeah.
Lekin
Yeah.
at that time actually the virus was not spread as badly. I think
Yeah,
it really escalated after I came back. So
true.
I really got lucky, I have to say.
Great. So let's start now. I've got this
Okay.
10 questions that I've made.
I really don't know what to expect. I'm just here like I tried to see the other shows and it was really like all over the place. So I really don't know what to expect. I'm a little nervous,
Yeah,
but okay.
my only hope is I do not make you uncomfortable and that's it. I think the question would be fine.
Okay,
Should we start?
let's go. Yeah.
Okay. There is a visible, tangible sense of confidence when we see you on court. Now, some players have it more than others. So what we see, Sania Mirza, when we see her, it's she knows exactly what she wants and how she wants it. Now, does that make Sania Mirza a difficult player to coach?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Actually, I think that. So I think that self belief and that self confidence I get from my. So
Okay.
I get that self belief and self confidence from my parents, because I think that they gave me that confidence that no matter what happens, you have to believe that you're the best, and that's the only way that you can be the best. Now that comes with its set of negatives, because when you believe that you're the best, you also don't want to always listen to every single person that's giving you advice. And so I have a very good working relationship with my father, who's been my super coach, so to say. So he's been the constant in my life in terms of my tennis career. Uh, but there have been many coaches that have come and gone. So I think that it isn't easy. I'll be very honest. I'm being as honest as possible. I don't think it's easy, because I think I'm a very stubborn person as well. So if I feel that I'm doing something right and I need it to be a certain way, it takes a lot of convincing for me to do it otherwise. If that makes sense. I'm sure you understand what I'm saying,
I
because
do. I do. I do.
yeah.
So was there a time when the coach, you don't have to name him, you and father had to come together and do a little bit of talking?
Yeah, many times, many times, because I feel that that trust. It's difficult for me to have that trust factor with everybody. I have to really have that sort of sense of trust and respect for someone to take their advice or even opinion seriously. So that
Yeah.
works in my favor and against me as well. I think it works both ways. So
Yeah.
even though it takes a lot for someone to shake my confidence, uh, which is a positive, it also takes a lot for someone to convince me about their point of view. Like if I don't see logic in it, I will not do it. And I don't know if that's good or bad. I guess it's been more good than bad. So
Yeah, that's fair enough. So would you say Sania Mirza, the player, is more easygoing than Sania Mirza, the person? Who is more easygoing?
no, it's vice versa actually. And Sania Mirza, the person, is far more easygoing than Sania Mirza, the tennis player. I like I'm very like relaxed. Like I am stubborn, but when it comes to very few things, like those things are very crucial in my life. But if they are not something that's so important to me, I let it go. Like I don't find the need to sit and argue and prove my point correctly. Like I don't believe in that. So but on the tennis court, I feel and I want to be the best, and I in that moment I am the best. Whether I am or not is a different issue, but I should feel that I am the best.
The belief, yeah.
The belief, and I think that is what makes champions, is that belief that whether you are the best or not is a secondary issue, but you have to believe that you're the best and you're better than the other person across the net.
So I put the first question out of it, the most important one.
Okay.
Okay, so
I hope
correct me
I
if
passed.
no, you are brilliant as always. My next question is, correct me if I'm wrong. It's been 7 years almost. You have focused completely onto playing doubles. Now,
Yeah.
I've gotten to know that you still train like a singles player. Your drills are like a singles player. Your old training techniques are like a single player. Now, I'm
Yeah.
intrigued as to why.
Because see, in doubles, it requires a different set of skills. But
Yeah.
physically, it's a bit easier on you than it is when you're playing singles, because you're covering half the court. It's but obvious.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that doubles players are worse or singles players are worse or anything. It just means it's different sets of skills.
Yeah.
But all my life I played singles and doubles. Like all my life, basically from the time I turned pro, which was in 2003, till 2013, I think it was when I made the decision. But 2003 is when I turned pro. I played juniors also, singles and doubles. I won junior Wimbledon. So basically for 20 years I played singles and doubles. So I was used to a way of training, and I suddenly could not cut down on the training because it required physically less of me. I just could not do that. Also, and not really for weight reasons, but I think it just didn't make me feel satisfied. When I would finish training, I had to feel that I would still, work and put my absolute 100 when my body feels really tired at night. So only for that reason, and the very fact that I was able to do it. If I wasn't able to do it, I wouldn't do it. I think that's important, to listen to your body, and my body was allowing me to do it until I had the baby. I have to say my training has changed a little bit after the baby.
So this was nothing from a coach or your father. This is just how you
No,
felt.
this is a self thing, because actually they would tell me that I'm overtraining sometimes. That they would tell me that why you don't need to do this drill, because in when a doubles match you would not need to do this movement, for example. But I didn't really believe that. I believe be ready. Like I should be ready, and it cannot cause me harm as long as my body is with me. So
True. True. And also, I've read that your forehand, which is, I mean, the whole country is mad about your forehand, is not something which is technically correct to be taught to kids. There's a very different way of how Sania Mirza hits the forehand, and you cannot teach kids to do that. Is that correct?
I don't know if you can't teach kids to do that. I think that normally people don't. I don't like today's tennis. I don't know if you play any tennis or the viewers here,
Sometimes
but
I hit all the balls out.
yeah, it's if your technique is not right, it's difficult. A lot of people don't understand that until they play, how difficult it is to put the ball in the court. But for example, I'm very hypermobile, so my joints are extremely hypermobile. So there is a certain way that my wrist joints move that a lot of people who are not hypermobile can't move like that. So necessarily what works for me with my grip, the way I play, is not necessarily what you want to teach everybody else or any single person who's not that hypermobile, for example. So I always say my forehand is more natural, like 60-70% natural and 30-40% taught, rather than the other way around.
And was there a time when growing up somebody told you, no, you should go back to basic and not try this, it will hurt you? There were?
So many coaches, so many coaches. And actually I used to have an extremely Western grip. I don't know if you know what that means. The Western means you completely hold the racket like this is the racket, and you put your grip is like this. Imagine I'm hitting with this, your wrist like would absolutely break. So I used to hit, that's how I naturally started to play. And then they slowly brought my grip back, and it became kind of semi-Western, not very extreme Western. But after that, I refused. Even when I was 10 years old, I said, I'm not going to go more. I just refused. And my dad, I mean, they all tried, including my father. Everybody, they were like, everybody said that it's technically not right. It's not. And that too, we're talking about over 20 years ago when Western grips were really not happening. Like, I mean, it used to be very continental and stuff. So, so I refused. After a certain point, I said, I'm not going to change it. And and rest is history, I guess.
It is indeed. So now, before we get to the third question, I want to ask you something. Did you ever see yourself playing as doubles, or was your training and mindset when you were younger only to play singles?
It was to play both, because that's why I continued to play both. But when I got to 27 in the world in singles, and I had a few surgeries, like 3 times. It just took a really bad toll on my body, and so when I stopped playing singles, I was still about 70 or 80 in the world in singles, which was still by far the best that anyone had ever played. But I knew that was not my potential. Like I knew that my potential was not to be 80 in the world. My potential even at that point was to be 20 or 25 or top 20. but my body was not allowing me to train. So that's
Okay.
when I made the decision to say, okay, do I want to be number one in the world, or do I want to be mediocre and be 80-90 with a lot of injuries, and I'll probably have to quit in the next couple of years. So that's when I had to make a conscious decision. But all my life I trained for, I think, more singles, and then obviously doubles kind of came along.
So this question third is a difficult one for you then, once you've answered this.
Okay.
So 27 in the world, beaten the likes of Martina Hingis, Kuznetsova, Azarenka, I mean, to name the few, having a very promising career, and because of whatever you said right now and injuries, had to adapt to play doubles. Now you come to play doubles and you win 6 Grand Slam, easy.
Easy.
Now, would you say that for you, of course? So would you say that winning those 6 Grand Slam was the best thing that happened to you, or would you swap all of it to have an extended singles career?
No, I would want to be number one in the world, which I did.
And
It was
that's
the right
exactly what happened. Yeah, exactly
Yeah.
what happened when you won 6 Grand Slam.
Yeah.
That crazy unbeaten streak. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that as athletes, I think we all, all of us, when we are young and we dream, we want to be the best in the world. That's what we dream of always. Nobody
True,
dreams of being
true.
nobody really dreams of being, okay, I want to be 30. Like, nobody dreams of that. You dream that you want to be the best, or the best that you can be. And
True.
I knew that I could be number one in the world in doubles. And for me, being number one in the world is probably the biggest achievement. It's one of the biggest goals I had. So I would not.
For the whole country. Not for you,
Thank
for the
you.
whole country.
So no, I would not
So,
swap it.
okay, great. Okay, now rank the following in order of the most challenging to deal with or to work for. So I'll throw you 5 things that you have to, and of course, the first being the most toughest. Okay. The first one, playing singles. The second one, raising a child. The
Okay.
third one, being the wife of an athlete who plays a different sports, is away all the time, and is not from your country. Fourth is playing doubles. And the fifth is social media trolls.
So toughest, right? I have to go 1,
Yeah,
2, 3, 4, 5
yeah,
tough.
yeah. The toughest first.
So I think you didn't put giving birth. I'm gonna put giving birth and then raising a child at number 1.
Okay, so giving birth and raising child comes together.
And
Yeah,
then
that's
raising
one
a
question.
child.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's number 1.
Okay.
That is by far the toughest thing that a woman can do, I think, is to give birth and then re kind of poop. Being married to a person who lives in a different country and plays professional sport. I know that a lot of people see the really good and really happy and the green part of it, saying, okay, it's so good, they both play a sport. And I mean, sure, some things are really, really, really easy. For example, like when you have a bad day, the other person knows they should not be talking to you.
True.
Like, for
True.
example,
True.
something
Yeah.
silly like that. But there are so many difficulties. I mean, you both come from extremely strong-headed mindsets. You come from, you both are doing something which is so high-pressured. You're representing
True.
your respective countries. You're in a high-pressure job where you're constantly winning and losing and winning. There's no other job that makes you do that. So constantly dealing with those emotions, it's tough. It's very tough. Number 3 is playing singles. Number 4 is playing doubles. And number 5 is dealing with trolls. But I'm just putting it there. I don't find it hard, actually. I find it pretty funny dealing with trolls. But since it's in the list, I'm putting it there.
And was there a time when you thought, it's okay, I will answer them? Or did it came just like that? Or you thought about it that let me give it back to them?
No, actually never. So there'll be one day in maybe 6 months where I'll wake up from the wrong side of the bed and I'll be like, yeah, I'll just reply to one person, I mean, but how are you going to reply? There are so many, yeah. But that's the human in me. That's the human in me. But most, like I'm gonna say 99% of the time, I actually find them pretty hilarious. Like I think they're really funny because I
Some of them are,
feel, yeah, some of them are so funny. Like,
yeah.
and so many times we have a family group. I send the screenshot sometimes on the family group and with laughing symbols because I'm like, I can't believe this person, is saying this. But actually, on a more serious note, I think that acknowledgement to trolls is not something I believe in.
Okay.
I just believe that when you reciprocate to them or when you reply to them on a daily basis, that's what they want
Yeah.
from you. They want
True.
they want that verification and that acknowledgement. And I really don't think, they are such low lives and they're like losers, poor people. They're sitting and like they're so like full of hatred and like they're hating on people they've never met. So yeah, I find it like I don't think that we should give them any acknowledgement.
All right. So only the few ones who really annoy you some days when your mood is not right get an answer.
Actually, they don't even annoy me. I think it's more that I wake up on the wrong side of the bed. It's not
Yeah,
even,
yeah,
there are probably
yeah.
people who have said worse things to me, which I have laughed off. And then there'll be a couple
Yeah.
कि उस दिन मतलब मेरी दिमाग घुमा हुआ होता है तो ना I'm like इसको तो मैं आज reply करके दूंगी. It's just a timing issue, I think.
Good one. All right. So let's not give any importance to trolls. My fifth question to you is,
do you give importance to trolls?
I haven't yet. I do get boiled up sometimes. I think I'm more matured now. When I was younger, I used to get really, really pissed. Because you think that, see, the thing is, when we lose, we don't want to lose. So we are the worst affected.
Yes, I know. They think that we want to lose somehow. I don't know why.
Yeah. So you're already so mad that you lost and probably played bad. Because even when you play bad, you know you have played bad. We always know when we have played bad.
Yeah.
And then when you get onto this and when people are abusing you sometimes, but then now probably because I'm a little bit matured, I let it go. ठीक है यार, गाली दे रहा, खुश होने दे, घर पर है, मैच देख रहा होगा, परेशान है, गाली दे दे, कोई नहीं. I only get pissed when the abusers go from me to my parents or my family.
Yeah.
That's something that's a big no. You can say whatever about me, I played bad, I'm the worst, he's getting old, he can't
but
score.
don't you think that the trolls now are not so much about how we play, it's about everything else in our life. Okay, why is she wearing this? Why is she doing this? Why is she talking like this? Why is her hair like this? Why is she going to a dinner? Why is she going to this restaurant? Matlab, it has nothing to do with who we are. We are athletes. Like you play football, I play tennis. You can comment about my tennis. You can comment about how good or bad I played. Even that, your opinion means very little. But still, you can still do it. But when you start to comment about why are you making your child, why are you holding your child? Can you imagine people? Why are you holding your child like this? Matlab, they are questioning why I'm holding my own child a certain way. Why can't she hold her child this way? Why has she put that on her child? But like there is no, that's when it actually gets me also. But you just have to laugh it off. There's no other choice.
Yeah, I think, that's all you can do actually. And also the worst is when you do reply, because sometimes I think let's reply, but then there is no right way of replying from our sides.
Yeah.
Whatever I say probably would be wrong. So I said, leave it, relax.
And then suddenly there's a newspaper article within 30 seconds of that reply.
Yeah. You can't reply. Yeah, you can't reply. It's simple. But I think that's a very small price that you have to pay for being who you are. And that's all 100%. Right.
100%. And I think that's one of the cons of being a public figure. Which is fine. I mean, we have a lot of pros that come with our lifestyle and with who we are. So there are some cons that are there, and that's one of the cons. So it's okay.
Yeah. So let's not give more importance to the trolls. Now, my next question to you is the fifth one. You always been somebody who always spoke her mind, no matter what. Always. And I've been following you from right when 2003 you started to now. Is there anything that you wish you could change or not speak or said differently when you think about everything that you have spoken?
I don't know like a specific thing, but in general, I think I should have been little less honest.
Wow. And why do you say that?
Because I think that I became like how do you say, I became a public figure, or I came into like dealing with the media and stuff at a very young age. I was only 16 when the first time. So I had to grow up in this limelight. So I also had to kind of learn how to deal with it. And as a 16-year-old, as a normal 16, 17, 18-year-old, all your biggest issues of all my friends were where they can meet their boyfriend at which coffee shop. I mean, and my issues were much larger than that. Matlab, they were asking me politically inclined questions and things that had nothing to do with what I was doing. And I sort of had to, you know, learn along the way and grow up in that limelight. So it was not easy. And I think I like today also, like I think today I'm still honest, but I feel that as a 33-year-old, I can weigh the words a bit better than I used to be able to weigh at that point, even though the honesty behind it was 100%, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So
It
I
does.
think that,
It
yeah,
does.
so I think that that's what I would like to change is that, like, my parents gave me the freedom of saying, be who you are and
Yeah.
be honest. That's what they taught us, and that's what they still teach us, and that's what I want to teach my son. But as an 18-year-old, I think people found it a little bit more threatening when someone was that honest and opinionated as what they'd find it at 33, for example. So
Yeah. True. That's nice. So now we have done with 5 questions, and I've got a small rapid fire. Of course, not every day I would get Sania Mirza to come on live with me, so I'm taking a little bit liberty.
okay,
This is not a part
that's
of
fine.
the questions. It is just a rapid fire.
Okay.
I don't have to say you rapid fire what it means because you're always fiery. So let's start.
Okay, let's go.
Your least liked Grand Slam.
French Open, Roland Garros.
Okay. And I would not ask you why. It's just a rapid fire.
It's the worst
Second one.
surface for me. It's not nothing personal. I don't like the
Okay.
surface.
Okay. See that I tricked you in this. I needed the answer and I tricked you in that. Sunil Chetri 1, Sania Mirza 0. All right, next one.
See, I'm still as honest as when I was 16. I still can't control myself.
We like that. We like that. The second one. The one player you would kill to have as a partner for doubles and mixed doubles, 2 different players.
I mean, I've been lucky enough to have that partner already, which was Roger Federer. So I've already played with him. So, I mean, I'll say him for mixed. And for women's doubles, I mean, it would be amazing to play with Serena, maybe. I played against her a few times, so it would be pretty amazing to play with her.
Great. That's a good answer. Oh, that's an amazing answer. Roger Federer and Serena Williams. It'll be good to watch you. I hope it happens.
I know, me
Hope
and
it happens.
Roger, I mean, I had that opportunity to play with Roger, and it was so much fun. I had the best seat in the house. That's all I can say. So, I mean, it was like, it was
He
amazing.
makes it look effortless, man.
But
something
he's
else.
like, he's a freak. Like, he's a genius. You can't, there's no, there's no comparison of what he can do with the tennis ball.
True. All right, the next one. Now, this is a good one. Imagine you are in trouble. I hope it never happens, but you're in trouble, and it would take someone to hit 3 straight aces in a game. Who would you turn up to?
Karlovic.
Ah,
He's 6'10". I don't know how many.
I know.
people
I know.
him,
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
but I'm saying, but they should Google him. Then they'll know why I said that answer.
Yeah, big server.
Yeah, huge. He's like 6'9" or 6'10".
Okay. Now the fourth one. I'm sorry, I'm giving them again importance, but in one word, you have to describe trolls.
My source of entertainment during lockdown.
You gave them so much of importance now. I'm sorry. Okay, the fifth one. One attribute of a player that you would love to have in your locker.
I think the raw fighting spirit of Rafael Nadal. Like that, like my emotion is, I don't show that much emotion on the court. And he shows so much emotion, like that raw sort of effort and like thing where you feel that he feels that every point is the last point.
True. You can see that, 5 setters. Even though if he loses the first 2, he's still in the game, not giving up on anything. Yeah.
And you know that like the longer the match is going, the more chances
of him. Yeah. True. Okay. The craziest partner you have had in all the right reasons though.
Bethany Marek Sands. She's also one of my closest friends. We've had
Okay.
some amazing results together. She's crazy because if anybody ever Googles her, you'll know she never has normal hair. She has pink, blue. She'll wear like leopard print and she plays like. And I was like completely opposite, the most like conservative, like dressed person, and she would come like complete. I mean, like almost wearing like a half bikini and coming and playing on the court and with like leopard print. Yeah, crazy, amazing girl. She's one of my best friends on the tour.
Okay. So the seventh one is the nicest person in the circuit. Like proper nice.
That's a tough one. Proper,
Yeah.
very nice.
The nicest among all of them that you know of.
I think that Rafa is a really nice guy, Rafael Nadal. Given the amount of achievement that he has, and given the amount of, I think he's an amazing ambassador for the game. But also when the cameras are not on, like I've had the opportunity to be around him, and he's a
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, and also a big football fan he is.
How can he not be?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Okay. Your most precious slam win and why?
Definitely Wimbledon.
Ah,
Because I think that as a child, you always dream of playing Wimbledon. Matlab, you dream of many things, but nobody. There's very few people that not. I shouldn't say nobody, but there's fewer people who dream of saying, "I want to win," say Roland Garros. I want to win Australia. People dream of always being at Wimbledon and playing Wimbledon. It's like, it's got that charm to it. And
yeah.
for me, when I won it in the juniors, and then when we, I played one of my biggest matches in singles over there against Kuznetsova, even though I lost that match, which was 2 months after I beat her in February, a few months after, not two. And I lost, I think, 6-4 in the third set. It was on center court. It was one of the best experiences of my life, to be there and to be present there. And then to later go on and win Wimbledon with Martina was really it was like I'm telling you, I'm getting goosebumps as I'm talking to you right now, because we were down 5-2 in the third set, and we had almost
We saw
lost
that.
the match. And,
Yes.
and when we came back,
Came back
and
5-5.
it was like a movie, because at 5-all we had to go inside. It got dark, and then when we came out,
Yes.
we got a standing ovation of the entire center court. Yeah, it was one of the most special moments of my life.
What were you and Martina talking inside when there was a break, the momentum went down? What are the talks like?
Well, first of all, we were both cramping. Okay, we both started cramping a little bit. My calf was cramping. She was cramping like in her hamstring or something. We had two physios like rubbing us down, because we knew we had like half an hour. And then we were like laughing, and we had come back from 5-2. So when that break happened, the coaches are allowed to come and talk to you when that break happens.
Yeah.
So my dad came, and her coach came, and we were all talking. And the only thing that they said to us was, you guys were almost out of the match and you're back in it. So just go out there and enjoy it. That's all they said. They didn't say anything to us. They said, just enjoy the moment. They said, you were already down, like you were down and out, and now you're back in it. So I think that while we walked on the court, me and Martina, we came in, and it was a vision like a movie. So when we came in, the lights were on. The entire stadium was full, and it was on their feet. Like the entire stadium was on the feet. They were all clapping. And when we walked in, we looked at each other and we said, let's just enjoy it. There's nothing more. These are the moments we live for. Like that's exactly what we said to each other. And we broke straight away. We went there and we broke like right away, and we finished the match in another game. So I think it was enjoyed it so much is why we came through, to be very honest. We didn't feel the nerves at that point.
What a story it was. The whole country was mad after that.
It was an incredible night.
Yeah. Thank you for that, by the way. Thank you so much for giving that to the country.
It took me, you won't believe it, like I was so overwhelmed with the situation that it took me, I went at night, I couldn't sleep all night. I was, how it is, you do interviews and stuff.
Yeah,
and I was at night, at 3 or 4 o'clock, after finishing all these interviews, I lay down and I said, did that really happen? And I put the highlights on Wimbledon.com, and I watched the match. I watched it 2 or 3 times, and that sunk in that we had won. I like, it was so weird. Like, it felt very surreal at that point, and only after I watched it happen was like I could relate to it and connect with it.
Wow. So do you do this generally with all your games that you go and watch, or was it that special game?
No, just that. I mean, not often for sure.
Okay.
But that one did. I think it took me a couple of times to watch it myself to believe what had just happened.
Yeah. I'm sure everyone has seen the game and the highlights. If you haven't, just go and relive the moment. One of the best for a tennis fan.
Yeah.
Okay, so now, now my sixth question. I think I speak on behalf of all the athletes that we learn most about life because of our sport. Now, if you keep tennis aside, what or who has taught you the most?
I have to say, a lot of it, my mom, because I think that the emotional aspect of it, especially being a girl, I'm very close to her, so I think that she did in many ways, and a lot of it my dad as well, in different ways. The way you connect with a father and the way you connect to a mother is different. I think that you said it absolutely right. I think that most of us. I mean, I was privileged enough to go to school, and I finished my 12th and I went to college a little bit. But there are a lot of athletes I know who don't get to do that, and whatever they learn about life skills is on the respective tours and the respective sport that they are playing, and it teaches you so much. It teaches you incredible things about life and about life skills. So I think that I would give it to both my parents in different ways. My mom in the emotional aspect of it, and I think practical aspect of it was my dad.
So if I have to ask you one lesson from your family member, because you're so close, one lesson or habit that you've learned which you will keep for your entire life, and it can be anything, something even little Izan has doled out to you, anything, small thing that you learned it and you said, wow, I'll keep it for my life.
I think that I mean, there's a few things, and I mean, I don't think like we should get into it shouldn't be so sad and like serious, this conversation. But I think there's a few things. But I think definitely, I come from a family of 2 girls, and where we never really thought of having a brother. My parents never really thought that having a son, our family, or not having a son, our family is incomplete or whatever. And I think that aspect of self-belief and the aspect of believing that no matter what gender you are, you can achieve whatever you want and the sky is the limit comes from my parents. I think that is something that they they drilled it in us, and it was so subconscious that it was not like we were ever sat and told that you can do anything, you can do it. It was never like that. It was their actions that made us believe that we could conquer whatever we wanted. So I went into sport, and my sister is into fashion. She's into something completely different, and she's really she's 26 years old, and she runs 2 successful businesses. And so my parents said to us basically all our lives that no matter what you choose to do, put your heart to it and believe that you can be the best that you can be. So our goal, and that's the lesson that we learned, is that our goal was never to not believe that we'll be the best. We have to try to be the best that we can be. So I think that's one of the small things that they just kind of put it in us, but not by words, but just by actions and the way that they treated us, if that makes sense.
It does, and it's amazing. That's amazing. I've seen all your interviews and I've followed you, and you talk so much about your family. It's so nice to see a very close family, very united, and everyone helping each other and pushing. It's nice. It's a very nice thing.
Yeah, I was lucky enough that I had a family that supported all my decisions and supported whether tennis or non-tennis, and supported me in those times when I needed them the most, and supported the right decisions for myself. So I think that I really lucked out there.
Okay. So question 7th is now you took a 2 years hiatus from tennis. You gave birth to Izan. In between, you announce you're going to come back. You make a comeback and win a trophy at Hobart. Again, easy for Sania. Now the whole country went mad.
Easy.
Yeah, the whole country went mad, and the sports and journalists with all the headlines, Supermom Sania. Now I have a thing to ask, because I know when, even if you're getting injured for 2 weeks, a small minor injury, and you want to come back, it is so difficult. Physically, it's difficult to be in the same form. It's difficult, and also the momentum. It's difficult. How was the journey from taking those 2 years break to go and win a trophy? How difficult was it? And before you start answering, was there a time when you thought, let's bin it? Why am I doing this? I've achieved almost everything that there was there to be achieved. I've written history all over, everywhere, all over again. Why do I need to do this? Was there a time when you thought that, or the thought came in your mind?
So he decided to you know, have a baby. It was a conscious decision. It was not something that was not thought of. And very well knowing that I was top 10 in the world. I mean, I was at the top of my game, and you know, knowing that that's something that maybe I will not come back. Maybe it may happen that, you know, I don't know how my body is going to react and what's going to happen. But for me, family was very, very important, and for my husband as well. And that was a conscious decision that we had made, that, you know, eventually we just thought it was the right time. That was the first part of it. From the time I got pregnant, actually, when I was pregnant, those 9 months, I wasn't really thinking about coming back, even though so many people were asking me, like, obviously, you know, any interview I did, they were like, so are you going to come back? Are you? And that time Serena had just come back, so everything of like, you know, Serena's come back. And at that point, I wasn't really, but after I delivered, funnily enough, after putting on 23 kilos, is when I thought, okay, you know, I want to make this comeback, because I thought that I still had tennis left in me. I still thought that I could, I still had a lot to offer, at least a few more years. Another thing that I had was, the only thing that I feel that I probably could have won and haven't won is probably an Olympic medal. And that it was an Olympic year until this pandemic happened. So that was one of my other motivation, was to try to come back and make a comeback for the Olympics. And the third thing was, you know, when I started my weight loss journey, when I put on 23 kilos and everything, and people said, hey, she's so fat, when is she going to play? How is she going to play tennis again? Forget, like, you know, she's not even again. So when someone does that to me, no, mujhe khatakta hai. And I'm like, now you have said it, now I have to do it. Now that you have said that I can't do it, I 100% have to do it. So I was like, you know, especially part of the world, also a lot of women feel that once they have a kid, once they get married or whatever, they feel their life is over. They feel ki chalo bhai, abhi bachcha ho gaya, now our whole life has to just sort of, we have to kill ourselves, and everything has to, and if we do mother, because that's what society sort of expects out of you as a mother, that if you're, so I wanted to also you know, set an example in a way where it was that you need to be like that. You could still be a good mother, you could still follow you know, your dreams, and you could still have a successful career, and you could still have a successful family. It doesn't have to be either or. It can be all together as well. So there were a bunch of reasons for this comeback. And also when I started losing that weight, the amount of women that were like messaging me, you know, Sunil, like, it was amazing. Like, I would wake up, I still wake up with like messages on Instagram and stuff, like saying, okay, you know, I had a kid 4 years and I had put on 20 kilos and I didn't lose the weight, and I saw your workout video and I went for a walk today. Matlab, it's the inspiration that you're providing, even for a person to just go for a walk. You know, it's really not as dramatic as like your one's life, but you're just trying to bring some positivity to someone's life, and we are in such privileged positions where we are able to do that. So these were the thoughts in my head when I said that I want to make a comeback. And yes, sure, there were a couple of times, your second part of your question, there was definitely You know, on days when you don't want to go and work out, I used to do 2.5 hours only cardio. Matlab, that's how first of all I started. Like literally 2.5 hours of just cardio. It's so boring. Like you cannot.
True.
I just sit and like, I mean, only a person who doesn't like cardio can tell you how boring it is. And no tennis, just cardio. So I, you know, and I used to not be able to, because I had a C-section, so I couldn't use my core for the first 3 months. So I had to lose the weight only by doing cardio and stuff. So then, so those days when I didn't want to go and I was like, I can't, like, I cannot see a treadmill. I cannot go for another walk, or I cannot go on the elliptical. And I was like, मैं क्यों कर रही हूँ ये? मतलब, what is the reason? Why am I doing this? Why don't I just take the easier? I have a husband who's successful. He earns enough money, both of us, to live comfortably. I have a child. Like, why should I do this? It's so, but the larger than that, right? Like, life is a lot larger than that. I feel that we all have a responsibility towards certain things where we are able to influence people with our actions. So yeah, so those were the thoughts in my head, honestly. And then I made the comeback. I honestly didn't imagine that I would win the first tournament I would play. Like, there was no way I would have imagined that. That is God.
Okay.
That's not me.
Yeah. So उस ट्रोल को ढूंढते हैं जिसने ये कहा था कि ये नहीं कर पाएगी बिकॉज उसने इस ट्रॉफी की बुनियाद रखी है. तो एटलीस्ट कुछ तो अच्छा किया उस ट्रोल ने जिसने ये कहा कि ये नहीं कर पाएगी, नहीं जीत पाएगी, या ये हो गई है. उसको ढूंढते हैं कि उसने इस ट्रॉफी की बुनियाद रखी है, क्योंकि सानिया ने बोला इसको तो मैं दिखाती हूँ.
But you know, it was just people on social media actually. It was people I knew. Matlab, my friends, now they tell me, you know, when I used to tell them that I want to make a comeback, and they used to never say to me, you're never going to make a comeback. But after I made the comeback and I lost weight, one of my closest friends, he's telling me, really, I never thought you'd lose weight. Forget playing tennis. I didn't even think you were ever going to become healthy again. And I said, then buddy, you really don't know me if that's what you thought of me, because then that means our friendship means nothing, because you don't know me at all. So it was not
delete,
just
block, khatam.
Yeah, not just social media, it was also people I knew. But I had big. Matlab, I put on 23 kilos. I lost 26 kilos in 4 months, but I put on 23 kilos. I was breathing air and I was putting on weight. Matlab, it was awful. Matlab, I said, saans leti thi and I was putting on half a kilo. It was crazy. But
yeah, but it must be also different for you, because sports people understand how they put on weight normally, but because you are being a mother, you I mean, no one has an experience. So you must have not known how it's going to be.
Yeah. No, I didn't know, and that's one of the reasons why I said that I don't know if I can make a comeback when I was pregnant, you know, initially, because I think that we all, it was a first time thing, where if I have a second baby, I know how my body is going to react. I know what to do and what not to do now. Like, at that point, I didn't know. So.
Great. So now, question number 8, I will give you few tags.
Is that your
of what I want to say, and you just, I would say mine, because you're the guest.
You're getting
everything
stuck.
wrong is mine. Okay.
That's what you learn when you get
fine
married.
Now? Of course. Of course.
Yeah, it's better now. No, it was wrong.
Okay.
It's fine now.
So now I will give you. Is it fine now? Is it fine now?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, internet, don't do this. Okay. So my 8th question is, Serena Williams, 2005, comes out with a quote that I don't know this under 18-year-old kid from India. And then cut after 17 years, Serena Williams and the whole world knows who Sania Mirza is. What do you want to say about this?
I mean, I think that it's not, to be very honest. I mean, there's nothing more to it. I feel extremely blessed to be in this position, and I think we should all feel blessed, right? But I feel that I feel extremely to get so much love, to be able to have been, I mean, I'm telling you, turned pro in 2003 and we're in 2020. To be able to sit here 17 years later and actually say my career is still going, I would have never thought of it. I would have never ever thought of it. So I feel extremely humbled. I feel extremely blessed, and I do feel that I give back so much for the sacrifices my family made in the initial years of, whether it was traveling in buses or trains, or whether it was, skipping lunch and eating only breakfast and skipping lunch to save money. I mean, we've all done that. All our families have done that. So, I feel extremely, extremely humbled to be in this position.
So you use the word humble, which I'm sure you are, everyone knows it. But one journalist told me, and I can't tell my source, that when you were asked this question then, you answered, "Don't worry, she will know who I am." Is that correct?
What is the question? You're getting cut.
Oh my God. Come on, internet. Don't do this. Am I audible now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Now I can hear you.
Okay, so one of the journalists, who I can't name, told me that when you were asked at that moment, you said, "Do not worry, she will know who I am."
I said that.
Yeah. Did you? I'm asking you.
About Serena, that like she'll know who I am. Is that what I said? I mean, it sounds like
when
me.
the
I
journalist
would have said that. I mean,
हाँ मैंने बोला होगा मैं अच्छा कि तुम्हें बोला होगा उस टाइम पे
I mean, बोला होगा नहीं, but the thing is कि जर्नलिस्ट ना मुझे जब क्वेश्चन करते हैं तो I don't reply to them, everybody at least, because
yes, I'm the best journalist then.
The ones that I'm close to, the ones that are my you're the best. But I'm saying कि the ones that are the ones that write about sport, love sport, I reply to them a certain way, and the ones that I know are there only for gossip and are there to just twist what I'm saying, I reply to them a certain way. So you should not take I have said seriously always to journalists. Like, you cannot take that completely 100%. थोड़ा ऊपर नीचे होगा.
So sorry to all the journalists who are listening
but
right now.
But it does sound like me. I might have said that. But I might have said that because I think that I was, like I said, I wish I was less honest when I was younger.
All right. On that note, my question 9 to you is, हम जब भी टेनिस देखते हैं, बहुत सारे टेनिस सुपरस्टार्स अपना गुस्सा रैकेट पे निकालते हैं, एंड बहुत सारे प्लेयर को देखा मैंने ऐसा. Have you ever thrown tantrum on the court while a game or after the game? Can you recall something?
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be on the court only or after it.
I broke my racket on that match that I was talking to you about at Wimbledon Center Court against Kuznetsova. I broke my racket on that match.
Yeah.
I even paid fine for that and got a warning. So I remember it very correctly. Yeah, it's happened a couple of times. Actually, I'm very like I told you earlier, I don't really show that much emotion, good or bad emotion. So I'm good at keeping emotion inside me, on the court at least. And then once I walk off the court, I've broken my racket maybe once. I completely smashed it. Matlab, it was in 4 pieces. Completely gone.
तो मतलब 5-6 बार मारा. एक बार मैंने 5-6 बार मारा उसको नीचे.
मतलब I hit it on a concrete ground. I hit it on the road, like on the concrete. I went outside and I hit it on the concrete ground. But nobody will ever see this side of me because I just don't like showing emotion so much. So मतलब on the court it's very rare. मतलब I'll just tap a racket or something. That also once in maybe weeks or months. But it's not something that I do very often. I'll scream. पागलों की तरह, but like I don't really break the racket.
पर आपके स्पोर्ट में तो गाली देना भी अलाउड नहीं है ना?
मतलब I mean yeah, officially no.
पर अगर आप
लेकिन उसका मतलब ये नहीं कि कोई देता नहीं है. I mean मैं कह रही हूँ कि officially allowed नहीं है, लेकिन आप स्लो मोशन में अभी आप देखेंगे रिप्लेस अगर I'm back.
तो
Sorry, I'm suddenly very popular. I'm getting so many phone calls.
अभी फोन उठा, बोलो बहुत
तो ये
इंपॉर्टेंट इंटरव्यू
लॉकडाउन में
चल
पता
रहा है
नहीं
अभी,
कौन
आई
फोन
कांट पिक अप कॉल्स.
अरे लॉक मैं लाइव कर रही हूँ, लोग इंस्टाग्राम पे नहीं देख रहे और मुझे फोन करे जा रहे बट मैं
तो हाँ, बता रहे थे गाली के बारे में.
नहीं तो गाली तो मतलब जब आप देखते होंगे जब टेनिस पे टेनिस मैचेस दिखाते हैं तो जब रिप्ले करते हैं आपको पता ही चल जाता होगा क्या बोल रहे हैं, एटलीस्ट इंग्लिश में तो जितने लोग बोलते हैं. सो इट्स नॉट टेक्निकली अलाउड नहीं बट
No, इसलिए पूछ रहा था because if we go through the feedback or the replay, the referees can catch somebody abusing in English. बट आपको तो ये फ्रीडम है, अगर आपको गुस्सा आ रहा है आप ऐसे लैंग्वेज में गाली दे सकते हो जो किसी को पता ही नहीं चलेगा और फाइन नहीं मिलेगा शायद.
yeah but I don't give it in Hindi, it
अगर
sounds
देना
very
चाहो तो.
crass, but I think in Hindi gali sounds very crass.
I'm not trying to promote कि
I
आपको
mean
गाली देना
it
चाहिए,
sounds
but I'm just saying गुस्सा आए तो.
no, but it sounds like I think when a girl abuses in Hindi, I don't know, call me whatever, but when a girl abuses in Hindi, it sounds so much worse than when a guy abuses in Hindi, right? When a guy swears in Hindi, it still is okay, but it's fine. But a girl, it sounds so like unclassy. But in English, it's still better. You can still. So I don't like to abuse.
I will tell.
Abhi Ramzan hai, I
I will.
don't swear in Ramzan for 1 month. I don't do anything. But when I do play,
Nice.
but when I do play, sometimes I lose it. Then I use English.
Okay. So I'll tell you a small anecdote of my life. तो मैं अपने घर वालों के सामने कभी गाली नहीं देता, कभी कुछ उल्टा भी नहीं बोलता. तो जब मैं मैचेस खेलने लग गया जो लाइव टीवी पे आने लग गए, और जब मेरी मॉम मेरा मैच देखती थी, क्योंकि हमारे स्पोर्ट में गाली देना अलाउड है, रेफरी को नहीं, पर जो मर्जी आप इंग्लिश, फ्रेंच, स्पेनिश, पोर्चुगीज, जो आपके मन में आप जो मर्जी बोल रहे हो सब बोलते हैं. Again, I'm not advertising this. Kids, stay away from galis, but we do.
It sounds like
So
you're
अभी
really
हम
promoting it.
no, I'm not because but it's true. So now you must have seen players we do this. जब बहुत गुस्सा आता है तो मुंह ढक लेना, because मतलब मेरी मॉम ने जब मुझे फर्स्ट टाइम देखा गाली देते हुए अगेन हिंदी में, my mom lost it. तेरे को ऐसे बड़ा किया कि हमने, तेरे को ये सिखाया कि हमने, तू इतनी गंदी गंदी गाली देता है टीम को. It was such a bad moment
So
because
now you started covering
उनके
your
आगे
mouth.
yeah, now we all do this. कभी कभी भूल जाते हैं because
So next time I watch your match and I see you cover your mouth, I know that you're not talking any strategy. I know that you are giving galis, and everybody else knows also.
no, sometimes we discuss also. But yeah, most of the time we
Now
abuse
nobody is believing you anymore. Everybody knows you're only giving galis.
This went wrong. This went wrong. I think we should. But it's live. I can't even edit it. This went wrong.
It's okay. We are all
Yeah.
allowed to take out our frustration somewhere.
Yeah.
At least you're doing it
And
decently.
and in between yours and my sport it's allowed. Not allowed means there's no
But your
penalties.
parents are
Unless,
not allowing you. Your sport is allowing
No.
you.
Yeah, my parents know. My mom still gets really angry. Yeah. Sorry, mom. Very, very sorry. I'll try not to. Acha. So now this is my 10th question, and I know you said half an hour because you have to go back to Izan. I've taken 1 hour,
Okay,
so
he's
sorry.
sleeping. Otherwise, he
So-
would have been here by now. So it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I also had a few questions for him. Anyway, so the 10th question. So मुझे सूत्रों से पता चला है कि जब भी फैमिली गैदरिंग होती है, you are the first one for singing and dancing and you enjoy it.
This is not true.
Now,
Who told you? Somebody is
No,
telling you like,
no.
this is
No,
not
no,
true.
this is from a no. This is from a very reliable source,
No.
and they said that your talent goes beyond that supremely gracious forehand and all the signing trophies. You also have a great knack of singing and dancing, and you enjoy it.
I don't know who you're talking to. This person is giving you all the wrong information. I just want to tell you, and I don't know who this person has been to party with, because this person was not partying with me. And if this is your question, and if this is your way of trying to just say कि अभी you sing, it's not going to happen.
No, no. See, I will never ask you to
It's
sing.
not at all going to
I,
happen.
no, no. I will never ask you to
Or
sing. Never,
dance.
never. I'm not. No, no. I'm not the cliche journalist. I'm just saying, do you enjoy it? I just wanted to know, apart from like, do you enjoy dancing and singing? Do you enjoy watching
I
movies?
actually I like enjoying. I like singing in solitude and only with people
See,
that are
see,
very
I got
close
you.
to me. I sing a little bit, but not in parties. I'm so shy. You don't understand. You know, in school I was that person who used to sit in the last bench of like the room, so that the teacher didn't see me, and that when she asked an answer, even though I knew the answer, I would not put my hand up because the attention would be on me. Imagine, I'm that person internally, and my life turned into this matlab, where I'm constantly under media, like this thing. So how ironic it is, but I am that person. So if there's a big gathering, there is no way that I would ever sing. But sure, if there's like 2 3 people who I know, then I'm okay. And dancing too, I have 2 left feet. I'm so bad at dancing. Badi mushkil se, and my sister Sangeeta I dance. That also I had to practice like 10 times more than everybody else, because I was still worse because I'm so bad. Really.
Okay, now I just got the number of the person. उसको मैं देता हूँ थोड़ी देर में.
Who is this person?
Gonna give
I want to know
information.
who's giving you false
No,
information.
no, 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 no. She is somebody who is close to you. I
My
mean, knows
sister.
you.
If
So I
it's
would.
my sister, I'm
No,
going
no,
to kill her.
no, no, no. No, no, it's not. So, Superstar, this is my 10 questions. I really hope you enjoyed it.
It was a lot
I
of
hope it
fun.
was worth your time. Yeah, and from from really my heart, I want to say you something, and I accumulated a lot of courage to say you this. We have met few times. I could never say you this, and I want to say you this today. That apart from everything that you have given to this country, the Grand Slams, the trophies, everything, the best thing that you have given to this country is hope, dreams to chase, and for kids to think, you know what, no matter what sport, if you work really hard, you can achieve things. We might not get a second Sania Mirza ever, might not, but we'll have so many kids who know they can make it because Sania Mirza did it. And thank you so much from myself and
Thank
the whole
you.
country for this.
How sweet.
No, I
Thank you.
seriously mean this.
But
I
you
seriously
have
mean this.
done the same thing, and you know that. You have done exactly the same thing in a different sport, and you know that very well. And thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun. I hope like a lot of people enjoyed it, because as usual I was my honest self. Even though I wanted to not be so honest, I couldn't help myself, like I told you. So it
No,
was
no,
a lot of
I'm sure everyone enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And before you go, I want to wish you all the very best.
thank you.
I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's good or bad that Olympics are postponed. I hope that you still are motivated, because fitness is not a problem for Sania Mirza. Winning trophies is not a problem for Sania Mirza. I really hope you are motivated enough. Please
Yeah.
don't leave this game for many, many more years. We really want to see you on the court, and keep enjoying.
Yeah, I hope
And
so. I hope I'm still playing by next year, and I mean I intend to
and next
right
year,
now.
and next year, and next year.
I mean,
One
I'm
year at a time. Let's go.
33. Unfortunately, I'm 33. I'm not 23. I would give everything to be 23 today to play for the next 10 years. But my body is also something that I have to listen to. But no, I do feel that right now I do intend to play for the next couple of years. So hopefully, I'll be able to go to my 4th Olympics as well. And thank you again for having me. It was a lot of fun. I'll
I
catch
completely
you
enjoyed it.
soon.
Thanks a
Take care.
lot.
Stay
Thanks a lot.
safe. Stay healthy.
You too, please. You too, please.
Bye.
Give my
Bye,
love to
guys.
Izan and regards to family. Bye bye.
I
Take
will.
care.
I will. Bye. Bye.
Wow. How good was that? Uh, that was nice. I've bumped into her a couple of times. I've met her, but could never talk to her the way I talked today, and it was so much fun. We always see, read, and hear about Sania Mirza, the superstar, somebody who is a no nonsense person, speaks whatever comes in her mind. But she was so candid, and a small thing. People who are close to her have told me that she's so emotional. She doesn't show it, but she takes care of every small things about everyone, and which is so sweet, and which we could see in the video also. I wish, I know a lot of the fans of Sania Mirza. We all wish that she doesn't stop. She keeps playing. Winning Grand Slam and playing for the country and giving us joy. And I really, really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for everyone who joined in. Somebody's asking me our next guest. We'll announce it soon. Thank you so much for the 1 hour. I enjoyed it. I completely enjoyed it. I hope you did. All of you, stay safe and see you soon.